Members of the company, this is your Places call. Places, please. Places for the top of the podcast. Places, please.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the glitz and not-so-glam of Broadway, education, and everyday life with Uncommon Sense. Join hosts Christopher Smith and Charna Lopez as they bring you the best stories and shenanigans that seemingly prove how elusive common sense can really be. So take a little time for yourself to hang out with the dynamic duo Charnopher, and no leaving early, because you might just miss that 11 o'clock number.
Stand by music. Music, go.
Uncommon sense, the 11 o'clock number. And we are Charnopher.
Hey, we're just gonna do this. Oh, we're doing this. I looked down for a minute and I didn't see our countdown, and I was like, let's do this, and then now we're doing this.
We're doing it.
We are here.
Charno fans, hello again. I know
Hi,
that
everyone.
if you've been listening, you will realize that Charna and I have been away for a couple of weeks, but we're back. More importantly, Charna's back from her world travels, which, you know.
I mean, we did take a well-deserved break from, our jobs that time of year leading into the holidays, and the holidays is very, very busy. So I'm glad that we were able to take a little time off, and now we're back, and we were just saying we haven't seen each other's faces in a while, so it's gonna be a fun episode, because I feel like our energy is gonna be back. It's gonna give us a brink. It's gonna give us life. But yeah, over the break we all did a little bit of traveling. I mean, I know you got up to the mountains for a little bit, right?
We went up to the Big Bear.
To
the Big Bear. And because the kids have been, especially Grayson has been for like a while, been like snow. And we didn't get to go last year when there was snow. So it's been like 2 years. And he's like, snow, give me snow. So
yeah, kids and snow is like the best. I love it because it reminds me of when babies are little and they'll like play with Tupperware, right? Like I feel like you put a kid in snow and it's just like, cool. Like I can sit here in the snow and just play. We went to the snow as well. We went to Utah for a week and we skied and snowboarded and did all of that. But every day we would do snow play. And there was one day it dumped like a foot of snow, and that powder in Utah.
Lucky.
Oh my gosh, the kids, Ruby in particular. Yeah, it was amazing. But like, they could just sled, or we had snowball fights and snow angels, and Ruby just wanted to like jump in the snow. It's so fun to them. Like it's amazing. Like again, it's like babies with Tupperware. Like, okay, cool. Here you go.
It's so great. It's so fun to watch him just go play. Grayson also, though, is a bit of a principetta. And so like if he's silly and like takes off his glove or it falls off and then he touches the snow with his hand, he's like, I'm dying. Fix my hand.
Yeah.
It's cold. I'm dying.
It's funny because I think when our kids were a little bit younger, they didn't like snow in their jackets or in their gloves. And I think now they're just like, whatever, like they've done it enough. So I think they start to get used to it. It also depends on where you are. Like in Utah, that last day we were out in the snow. I mean, it was like 7 degrees. Like that's cold. So I get it if your hands get cold and then you're like, this could actually be like a medical situation. We need to go inside. It was like 30 degrees. I'm like, you're going to be okay.
Emergency.
Yeah.
Emergency.
It was what, like 30s up there? Probably.
It was a lot of times in the 20s. We were playing outside when it was like in the teens. So
yeah, that's good though.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then after we did Utah, I came back. We started school, and then I I just got back from Costa Rica, which I know you know because I talked to you about it, but it sort of prompted the topic for this episode. So I went. I earned a free trip, a teacher trip, to Costa Rica, and at first I was like, "Oh, this timing is bad because we just got back from break and there's lots to do." And then when I got there, I was like, "This was the best decision ever." Going to Costa Rica, I actually thought, "Oh, this is gonna be an adventure and so fun and okay, great, a vacation." I didn't think I was going to feel as like strongly about the place and the people and the energy. Like the other time I remember feeling like that was the last time Jerry and I went to Napa. And as we were coming back on the plane, I was like, it's and it is about being on vacation because anywhere you vacation, you are on vacation, right? So your energy, your brain, it shuts off work mode and it hopefully goes into vacation mode. So you're going to feel like that. But I do think there are certain places that just add to that level of like chill, you know? And it's the people who are there. It's the experiences you have when you're there. And I've done a bit of traveling. I wouldn't say I'm like a travel buff and I haven't done a ton, but then after Costa Rica, I was like starting to think about all the places that I've been. And I was like, I actually have traveled quite a bit. I don't know. I thought like, shoot, I actually have been, I've been international a handful of times. I've been to London, I've been to Scotland, I've been to Japan, Costa Rica, Mexico. So, and in saying that, like, yeah, I have, because some people have never traveled internationally. It was weird.
Yeah.
I think it's because I have some friends who do a lot of international travel. So I felt like I was a secondary international traveler.
Yeah.
And we do a little bit of traveling in the United States as well. I've been to several states. So I asked Christopher, I said, hey, can we, and I don't want to just spend time talking only about my Costa Rica trip, but I would love to kind of highlight. And then I want to talk travel, like the common sense that a lot of people don't have when they travel. That actually would be a whole other tangent.
I'm sure we will.
Down. Have you traveled internationally?
So technically, yes. And I only say technically because the answer is yes, but I haven't left the continent. So I've been to Canada a couple of times. I've been to Mexico a couple of times. But so like my Canada ones, I've been to Vancouver once or twice, maybe more. I think we went when I was little. And then my favorite was actually when I went to Toronto. I loved Toronto. And
that's what everybody says. So on this trip in Costa Rica, we were asking a lot of people. We traveled with 40 other teachers. So lots of new people we met. And a lot of them were from Canada, different places in Canada. And they were saying Toronto is one of the coolest places. I was like, now I got to go there. What did you like about it?
No, I think it was just, I love the tower. I love a tower in general. So I love going up there. I liked its proximity to Niagara Falls. I got to go to Niagara Falls because I was there. And cool. I don't know, I was only there for a couple of days, but I like with many cities that are older, there's just a sense of history and just like there's super old buildings still there. It's like a mix of modern and old, and it's just fun. I ended up going for a work thing technically because somebody had hired me to come play for their auditions for, it was a friend of mine, for the Royal Conservatory in Toronto. And so they covered my travel expenses, and I was like, well, if you cover my travel expenses, I'll come play for you for free. It'll be all included, an all-inclusive price. So that was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then
it's definitely on my list of places.
I want to go back. So let's do it. And then I've done Mexico only via boat. So I did a cruise to Cabo. Oh. I loved Cabo. Cabo was an interesting place though. Because it's one of those places, and I'm not well traveled beyond that, but I know there's numerous places in the world where it's like the standard of living is very, oh, what's the word I want? I don't even know. Like segregated, maybe. It's like I remember being driving down a road in Cabo, and one side is all like resorty and like high class and all this stuff, and literally on the other side of the road is squalor, and everything's so poor and dilapidated. And I was like, what is happening?
I think it's like that in a lot of countries. I think Mexico, I mean, Costa Rica was similar. I know I traveled to Costa Rica with a teacher at our school. Her name was Dawn, and she had just come from having a 2-week vacation in Vietnam. And she said the same thing for Vietnam. Like I do think too, it is interesting because tourism in a lot of these countries, and I did learn this when I went to Costa Rica, tourism in Costa Rica is their number one source of income. I mean, they do bananas and pineapple and coffee. And I had thought coffee was going to be like the big one. And our tour guide was like, no, it's tourism. So they do place a lot of time and energy in creating good experiences for people to come and have tourism. And I think Cabo's the same way. I went to Cabo last year with my girlfriends, and it's so funny because the only time we left our resort was to go on a boat ride on the beach in front of our resort, mind you, and to go on a boat ride out to those beautiful rock formations. The rest of the time, we could do everything at the resort, and we had amazing service. And that's what with Costa Rica too. Like, I just had this moment of like, these people are so happy. Like, you know, and I don't want to diss the US. I love the United States and I'm a proud citizen, but more often than not now, and I think we've talked about this too, just service in general. You can still go to a bar and have a really great bartender. You really can. I don't want to like put everybody in one basket, but more often than not now, I don't feel like people are happy to be in the service industry here. And I made a point on the last night we were in Costa Rica. We went to this, I can't even explain it. And I took a million pictures and video, and it like doesn't do it justice. We literally like drove to the top of Costa Rica in a tour bus through these like tiny little roads. I was like, this bus driver has a death wish. I don't know how we made it up there. It was the most beautiful restaurant I had ever seen. The view, the food, we got to meet the owner. So we went up like buffet style to get food. And this old man, he's wearing a 3-piece suit with like a pocket square and a fedora and the biggest smile. And he's just like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And he's serving us food. And we're like, why is this guy working here? Come to find out, he's the owner. He built this restaurant 57 years ago with his wife. He's serving me freaking beans and rice in the line with a giant smile. And I was like, this is what it's about. Like, the people love what they're doing. And I think Mexico was the same for me when we went to Cabo. I had better service at that poolside situation than I had in the United States in a long time. I had better service at the breakfast buffet. So I think there's something about that energy of the people you encounter. And again, it didn't matter. There were all walks of life there. We weren't all American. Some were, Canadian, and even in Cabo, there are people from Australia. There are people everywhere, and it didn't matter. Everybody got the same service. Everybody, it's a really great energy. But I will say, I didn't go into the town in Cabo, but in Costa Rica, it's the same exact thing. Like, we would take our tours and we would go to locations, and I'd be looking outside. It's also people in those countries don't place value on the things that we place value on. Yeah. Right? So our tour guide, her name was Andrea, and I love her. She's so funny, and I love that she spoke great English. There are two things in their country in Costa Rica: healthcare and education is what the government puts most of their money into. She spoke great English. She still had a very thick accent, but she was talking about that, how, and she didn't even say America. She just said some other countries, they put value on having a big house and lots of things. And, she's like, we put value on our family and spending time eating good food and things like that. And so coming in as an outsider and seeing it, you might look at it as, oh my gosh, they're living in poverty, which technically in the US they would be. But there, I actually don't know, and I didn't want to be rude and I didn't want to ask too much, but I don't know if maybe that's not their poverty level, right? It's
Maybe
interesting.
They don't view
it's
it
really
that way.
Interesting.
And with not to be a negative spin on anything, but when you're talking about like how things are, how you've experienced it here in the US versus in other places, has so much to do with our society in the aspect of, I feel like so many people now are, it's two-prong kind of related, but one, sorry everyone, lazy, doesn't want to work, and also just so entitled. And I was even talking about this with some students the other day. They're like, Mr. Smith, I just feel like everybody has so much entitlement. And I'm like, correct, welcome. And it's such an interesting thing.
It would be interesting. Our friend Kristen, I know she and we get into these conversations often just because we teach students and we see the younger generation, right? And she talks about, I can't remember what she calls her parents' generation that worked. And not that we don't work hard, I think we do, but that generation above us, I feel like the people who are now in their 70s and 80s, that generation, you had to work, and you I think were grateful for work, right? And I think you took pride in your work. And again, I don't want to get into this like everyone in the same basket. Right. I think there are still some people who really take pride in what they do, and they do work hard. There's 2 people on this podcast that
have that exact same experience.
Exactly. And we know a lot of people 100%. Who still do. But I think there are a lot of reasons the younger generation has gone in that direction. I will say last night, and I don't share a lot about specific incidents at school, but we had a rehearsal last night, and I had been gone for a little bit. And the last time I saw the students, I told them, I said, you guys, please, when I come back, please. And I asked them, please, I don't know, 500 times, please remember your stuff and bring some costume ideas. And a couple of the kids just brought me the most joy. Like they were fully ready, so excited to show me their costumes. Like, what about this? And I looked at this and I was like, this is giving me life, because they care and they're putting energy and effort into what they're doing. And you could tell that a lot of them had practice. And I was like, okay. And I think oftentimes I also feel it's the responsibility, yes, of their parents, but you know what? If the parents are going to fail them, the people in their lives that can help them move in that direction, if that's me, if it's another teacher, if it's a mentor, if it's a pastor, if it's whoever, like sometimes I get super negative about it. And instead of like, guys, we can do this, you can do this, or really complimenting them when they do work hard. I agree. It's also, don't you think, tied to the immediacy and the ease of access to everything now?
I do.
They don't have that. Like we went down to the beach in Costa Rica, Dawn and I, to see the sunrise one of the mornings. We went up on the rooftop of our hotel to see the sunrise, and then we walked down to the beach right after sunrise. And the beach is down there. It's like Mexico and Hawaii met in a rainforest. It's kind of like what I feel like. And we're down there, and it's not even 6 a.m. yet, right? Like a little before 6 a.m. their time. And you see these families down there with their little kids. I'm talking 3 and 4, or their, 11 and 12-year-olds. And they're all setting up their shops for the morning along the street with their trinkets and their bracelets and their stuff. And all of the kids are helping. The 6-year-old is getting the bracelets out and laying them out. And then then it's like, you see the mom saying, no, go take care of your brother. And then they're taking the little brother down to the beach and they're running around and playing. And I'm like, they have learned that this is what their family does. And we work hard as a family. And they're all there, with a giant smile on their face. And everybody there, this is interesting. I did not notice this in Mexico. Everybody there would ask me my name.
Oh.
So I went up to buy some bracelets for Ruby at one of these tables, and the lady was like, "What's your name?" And I'm thinking, how incredibly amazing. So I started doing it. Like when I would go up to other tables, I would be like, "Como te llamas?" Like I would, it's just like they want to have an interaction with you. They're not just there to be like, buy this bracelet, right? And just seeing that, like the genuine love of what they're doing and their families' involvement. And also those kids and those families probably spend the entire day at the beach. There's no sleeping on a couch. There's no iPads. There's no toys. It's just them.
Yeah.
And their horses, like they bring some horses. Maybe they're going to do horseback riding, or they're running on the beach collecting, shells, or they're playing games like with each other. And again, I am just as guilty of all the pleasures and luxuries of living here. But I think it just really made me have a good perspective, and this is crazy. So the last night we were there, sorry, this is so crazy. The last night we were there, we went to that restaurant, we met the owner, and then one of the waiters came up to me at the very end and he was like, "You are the happiest person I've ever seen." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "I saw you from across the room. You're just so smiley and you're so happy." And I said, "Look, I'm going to say no. Like your people of your country are the happiest, most, what's the word? Not respectful maybe, but just like, you're all so happy and welcoming." And so Don came up and we're chatting with this guy. I'm like, "Oh, what's your name?" And he says, "What's your name?" My name is very hard for people to say in Spanish. So a lot of people wanted to call me China, which is very funny. I'd be like, "Charna." They're like, "China?" So I had to keep telling them, no, like Charna. Like I would say it like that so they could, it's how Jerry's family says my name too. So we asked this guy. I think this guy's maybe my age.
Okay.
I said, "How long have you been working here?" And he said, "Oh, I've been working here 39 years. I said, "How old are you?" And he's like, "I'm 60. I was like, "What sort of water do you drink, sir? Because I would like to have that fountain." And he's like, no, I just love my life and I love my job and I love my family. And I'm like, dude, that's the secret. These people all look like they're 20 years younger than the Americans who are like running around like cuckoo people and injecting Botox in their face. Like, what are we doing wrong?
Stress.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to retire, but I will come back and work here whenever. Gilbert was the name of the owner. He's such a good man and he takes care of his employee. I'm just like, I love hearing people talk like that. And they're so proud of their country, Costa Ricans. Like they're so proud of their country and what they have. And let me talk to you about this and tell you about that. And did you try this juice? And they're just, it was such a great experience.
That's so cool.
Loved it. Highly recommend. But now that we've talked about Costa Rica, I do think we should talk about traveling and travelers and some of the hilarity that I witnessed and that I'm sure you've witnessed in traveling anyway.
You are
people need to get it together when they travel.
Fresh on that one. So if you have any anecdotes, feel free to share.
Yeah, I think two of the biggest things that I noticed is like the way you board and deboard a plane. Okay. So if you've never been on a plane, I give you grace and I give you an excuse. Okay. Totally fine. Once you have been on a plane one time, I feel like you should understand the process. Okay. So the seats are labeled, friends. There is a sign with the number and the letters of seats. So unless I don't know, there was one, I think it was on the way there, the second flight, we had a little layover. This lady comes up and she is beside herself.
Why?
Someone is sitting in my seat. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, Queen, why don't you just look at that man and be like, "Hey, that's my seat. Can you check your ticket?"
Yeah.
Why are we already here? She wouldn't even speak to the person in the seat. She was like, flight attendant, like calling them over. I'm like, and the flight attendant comes over. She's like, "Yes." She's like, "This is my seat." And she's like, "Okay, well, did you ask the man?" I felt like she was like, had to be like in teacher mode, She's like, "Well, no, can you get him out of my seat?" I'm like, what the lady? So the man was like, oh, my mistake. He went on the wrong side or whatever. But also, look
Yeah.
at the letters. I don't know. Come on, dude.
Correct.
That, like, just getting on. Also, it's an aisle. So if you are too large or the person is too large for both of you to pass, one of you has got to do something, friends. Okay? Please, please do not squish yourselves together so your booty cheeks are in everybody's faces as you're trying to like go. Oh, my Lanta. I'm just like, have you guys never driven a car? Have you never walked on a walkway? Like some people, I would watch it. I'm such a people watcher. Like one would get up to go to the bathroom and one would be coming back and they'd be like, "Oh," like in a standoff. Like they're going to have, I'm like, one of you has to move. So unless you can fly or you're going to crawl through the other person's legs, like you got to do something. I don't know.
So what I would say
not gonna
is
work out.
step into a seat, but what if all the seats are full? Like, how do you clear a path?
So then I think if it were me, I would then go back toward the bathroom and where there's like the little alcove back there.
Yeah.
So then you have room to turn around and then you go. But people are so selfish and they're so me, you know, that it's like,
well, I was here first.
yeah, what do you expect this person to do? And speaking of that, we did experience this. So we had a very short layover on the way over, like 50 minutes.
Okay.
And so when I boarded the plane, I said, hey, there are a lot of us who have a very quick layover in Houston. Are you able to make an announcement that we can deboard the plane first? And the lady in LAX airport was like, well, I can say something, but I don't. And I was like, have a nice day. You know, you have no help, right?
Right.
Whatever. So she didn't even make an announcement. We still made the flight, so I wasn't stressed out. However, on our way home, we were delayed almost 5 hours. And there were a handful of people, not us, but a handful of people when we landed in LAX that had minutes to get there to their international connecting flight.
Oh,
and
man.
The flight attendant made an announcement. She was very, very articulate and like, you know, please put yourself in that position, in those people's shoes. Like when we land, and she even said, raise your hand if you need to catch another flight. And everybody, please look around at those around you that might need to get out sooner and catch another flight. And there were probably about 8 of them. And I made sure I was clocking.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, this person's behind. Let's wait. You know, I'm paying attention. We get there.
No.
Do you think anybody stayed sitting down? Christopher, it took
Charna
everything. I was like, stay in your lane, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. I wanted to stand up and be like, sit down, people. But I felt so terrible for these poor people who are trying to get out and then they're like trying to get their luggage and they're trying to move through. And I want to be like, sir, do you have a connecting flight? Then sit down. Like people are so selfish and they're just so quick to only care about what they're thinking, you know? So yeah, I think like when traveling, I guess traveling anywhere, but definitely internationally, because you're going to be dealing with different cultures, different people. It's this idea of, I think, giving grace and just being chill. Like, I think some people get so frazzled and frantic and so focused on my flight, my suitcase, my air. Like
it's not just about you people
in this plane, friends.
It's not just about you.
I think that's it. And I think too, it's also like, it reminds me of, you know, like just people watching in general, like, you know, at Disneyland or anywhere where you have a lot of different people that everyone functions differently. So I guess it's more about just remaining calm and know your social awareness. Please don't lay your head on my shoulder or sit halfway in my seat. Thank you. And have a nice day.
Also that.
Also the lines,
Oh my gosh.
lines to get onto, I think airlines have done a much better job of like, you're in group 1 to board, you're in group 2, and you'll still have people in group 83 that are like right there. You're like, friends, we have some
Group
more humans who need to get on the plane before your group. And I mean, I'm kind of guilty of it because you're just like, you know, anticipating it. And I also think what's funny is they're assigned seats, right?
Most of the time, yeah. Unless it's Southwest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's different. I guess then I kind of understand a little bit, but like the travel I just did, every seat is assigned. So
Yeah.
why are you trying to get on so early? Like your seat's not going anywhere. That's your seat. So I think people just need, I think they should be passing around like tequila shots in the, like everybody just, let's take a chill. Let's take
Bring
a
it
chill
down.
moment.
Bring it down.
Bring it down. Bring it down.
I know everyone's always at like a 25 when they travel. And I get it.
Yeah.
It's a little stressful and you don't want to miss the plane and you don't want to not like be late to things. But also when you're already there and you got your ticket in hand and you are at the gate, just relax. That's the moment to take the breath and go, I'll deal with the next thing when I have to deal with the next
And
thing.
I also find it's funny, like if something goes wrong with the plane, I like the people who get mad because I'm like, cool. So you think that we should just board the plane that has an electrical malfunction? So carry on. Like, I'm not sure what they're thinking, like we can be disappointed that we might be delayed, but I am not excited about boarding a plane that has a malfunction. Like maybe we should let them fix it.
Well, maybe they were looking forward to skydiving. Maybe that's what they were hoping for.
Also,
is a skydiving experience.
A new adventure. I could never work in an airport like customer service. I think that's got to be one of the most contentious. You have to have people yelling at you and all the time. It is just so heightened. Whew. No, thank you.
I would be in jail. I would be in jail if I worked that job.
Oh no! Yeah, I think I'd be right there with you. I'd be right there with you.
Yes, I may not kill someone, but I will full on assault them.
Yeah,
I will probably.
And I can
punch you in the face.
understand when people lose their like these workers lose their patience because I don't know they've had 95 people doing the same thing, and there's only so long you can be like, "Ma'am, thank you, we understand." Like, ooh, that's
I'm sorry that we have ice on the plane that we need to clear before we can safely take off. I'm also sorry that in the alphabet, D comes after A, B, and C, and you are not in the boarding group until D.
It's so funny because the flight attendants, like when they were making the announcement, they just kept talking about Mother Nature, which I loved. Like they were trying to make people realize, like, this is Mother Nature, didn't agree with us today. Thanks, Mother Nature. I'm like, that was smart. Trying to remind people that they weren't the ones that were like, hey guys, let's make sure we get some ice out there. Okay. Let's make sure we got ice on the tarmac. What the heck? Like it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's doing. Oh my God.
They take it personally.
So
they think God has thwarted them for the day personally.
Right. Chill. Everybody chill. All right. Well, that's my beginners info with international travel. And I think after I travel with the students this summer, we'll have to do like a secondary episode on all the fun adventures that I get to have with those those hooligans.
Those humans.
For sure.
Yeah. You say hooligans, I say humans. It's in between. Hooligans.
Hooligans. We got to find a better like mashup of those two words.
Right. That's neither one of those is working for me. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We are glad we're back. We're glad you're back. And check us out on uncommonpod.com if you have any questions about us. Follow us on Instagram at Charnopher Official. And there's another thing. What's the other thing? It's been 2 weeks, y'all. Oh, the YouTube. Like and subscribe on the YouTube. And there it is.
On the YouTube. You just said that like a 11-year-old on the YouTube.
Right. Because I am
like
a
11
year old, in fact. All right, everybody. Catch you next time. Bye.
Charnopher.
Charnopher out.
Wow, Christopher's
this part
really
of
out of practice.
was out.
We forgot the YouTube and we also didn't remember our sign off. We are winning.
Okay, rewind. Okay. Charnopher out on 3. 1, 2, 3. Charnopher out.
I love it.
I gotta go.
I love it. We're amazing. Carry on.
Oh. Keep calm and carry on, people.
This concludes another episode of Uncommon Sense. If you're ready for more of this fresh, hilarious, and unique perspective on the world of entertainment, education, and life, be sure to subscribe right now to catch every episode. If you gasped, laughed out loud, or even snorted, share the show with your friends and aspiring entertainers because, let's be real, sharing is caring. For more Charnopher, tune in to their witty insights by checking out the website uncommonpod.com or connecting on social media. Tune in next week and get the real insider scoop on another episode of Uncommon Sense.